All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's presentation, Amplify Your Conference Experience with WBEC-East. My name is Colleen Lecoq. I'm the Director of Certification and Business Development here at WBEC-East. And today we are going to be talking about quite a lot of stuff as it relates to conferences, whether or not you're going to the National Conference in Denver or you're going to the Women's History Month meet and greets or any other meet and greet or networking event throughout the supplier diversity and procurement world. So please feel free to use the chat throughout the course of the presentation. Feel free to introduce yourself. I assume many people on this call will be going to the national conference. So it'd be great for you to recognize some names and faces when you get there on site. If you are not located currently in our region of Pennsylvania, Delaware, South Jersey. If you're not a WBEC-Easter, welcome from elsewhere in the WBEC network. We would still love to get to know you too. So we are going to have quite a robust session this afternoon. I'm going to start off by giving you a very brief overview of the conference coming up. We're going to do a little bit of a lay of the land. Now, keep in mind, the national staff are doing full hour-long virtual orientations where they're going to walk you through the map, the floor plan, where all the rooms are, what the sessions are. I'm just going to give you like a 5-minute snapshot overview so you have some context. But I really, really encourage you to attend those virtual orientations to get more of an in-depth lay of the land, because I'm sure they're going to be sharing more information that I don't even know yet. So after I do my kind of lay of the land, I'm going to pass it over to Kate and Kristen, who are here from Prelude Solutions, and they are rock stars at networking and pitching, and I mean, you will see them fluttering all over the conference. So they are graciously going to give us their best tips for making this time work for you. Then we are going to pass it over to Cass Bailey, owner of Slice Communications, and she is going to talk about creating the effective capability statement, which is your resume on site. And lastly, we are going to have a few of our corporate participants here, Larry and George, giving some of their raw, real opinions on what's going on in their brains when you are pitching to them. So I hope this session is going to be really useful to you. We do this every year, and it is always in demand. We always get asked for it to come back. So let us jump right in. Oh, that's me. Okay, the Denver National Conference is just about almost exactly a month away. You can expect somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 people. It is a huge conference. There are going to be multiple receptions, multiple education workshops, an enormous expo. I mean, there is so much going on. So what my goal for now is to give you like kind of the top things that I really do not want you to miss, because there's so much going on that there really are a couple things that like are worth your time most of all. So here's kind of the highlights that I just want to throw out for you. If you are arriving on Tuesday, you can check in as early as 10 a.m., get your badge. Note that they expect the conference to sell out. So if you are not already registered, today is the early bird deadline. Register ASAP. They are not expecting to have walk-ins on site. So please make sure you're registered in advance. On Tuesday morning, from 11 to 1, there is the WB Enterprise Forum meeting. And the forum is kind of like the head body of WBs. They're the representatives. They're your voice. And they meet every year at the national conference and talk about the future of the network and the future of supplier diversity. And this meeting is open to everyone. So please, if you are there, feel free to attend. Now, we are going to be kicking off our fun activities with our WBEC-East meetup. All of the regions, or RPOs, as they call them, regional partner organizations, are going to have a meetup. We are in the first group, which is at 2 o'clock, and then the second group is afterwards. So half of the regions, there's 14 regions. If you're on the call and aren't familiar with the national structure, there's 14 regions. WBEC-East We're Pennsylvania, Delaware, South Jersey. We're meeting from 2 to 3:15. It is a great opportunity to get that personal touch, make it a little more of an intimate networking experience. You'll see most of the faces here on the call. You'll see me. We're ordering pins this year. Last year, we all dressed up in purple and lilac and had fun little purple flowers and stuff. Worked out really well. We're going to be embracing the purple again this year. We're getting pins. We're going to give them out to you guys. So please stop by, if anything, just to pick up your pin so that, you know, if you wear it on your badge, you can see another WBEC-Easter and, you know, it's an introduction point. Then there is a welcome reception on Tuesday evening. The welcome receptions are always business casual. Don't feel like you have to really dress up. You can wear what you wore during the day, or you can. Some people do dress up a little, and usually the receptions in the evening all have heavy hors d'oeuvres. I know I personally don't ever get dinner because I just eat my fill at the reception. So that is Tuesday, kind of like the welcome day. Wednesday, we're going to start getting into the heavy networking stuff that Kristen and Kate are going to talk about. The morning is going to be the industry education sessions and workshops. They haven't announced those titles yet, but they are always really interesting. There will be lunch provided. Keep in mind, breakfast is generally on your own. There are a couple grab and go places in the convention center. There's a cocoa bean place serves Starbucks, and then there's also a marketplace that has sandwiches and stuff. And then Wednesday afternoon is the expo. So even if you skip out on the industry sessions in the morning, the expo is where it all starts. And then there's going to be an evening reception. Thursday is going to be probably your biggest day. That's the day that you want to wear your nicest businessy outfit. More expo in the morning. Lunch will be in the WBEC Cafe, and then the meet and greets. The meet and greets are your number one networking opportunity, and I will talk a little bit more about what a meet and greet is. And then there is going to be, usually every year there's one fun party where they do karaoke and stuff, and everyone dresses up. It is on Thursday this year. This is the night everyone's going to dress up and have fun. It is ski lodge themed this year, so we're all looking forward to that. Now, Friday is a little different this year, keeping in mind that this conference and everything was booked before COVID for a smaller event. So that is why they're just kind of working with a little bit of the different, space restraints. But this is the last year that we're dealing with these COVID contracts. So next year, we're kind of going to get back to the regular flow. But Friday is a little funky this year. So I'm going to give you a little bit overview. If you are staying for Friday, what to expect. So Friday, if you had already registered earlier in advance, they provided tickets to those early birds who registered for the Friday events, the brunch with America's top corporations and the evening soiree. So if you did claim your tickets, you should have gotten either an email or some kind of outreach from them to claim your tickets. Those are the two events that are those ticketed ones. Now, the invitation only events. This is where the corporates kind of have the power to meet with you a little bit further. We'll talk about with the meet and greets, kind of how you have the power to decide who you want to meet. Now, these invitation only events, you will get the invitation directly from a corporate if they want to meet with you a little bit further. So just keep in mind, we haven't quite heard how that is going to kind of come about yet, but that is what we know so far about the Friday day. But they are encouraging people to stay. If you are staying for Friday, there will be plenty of networking available. Okay. I did mention that there are virtual orientations. Again, this is just a very high level, lay of the land. But these are going to be hour-long sessions where the actual conference planners are going to walk you through the floor plan and more in-depth schedule. So really encourage you to attend one of these. They're all the same. There's 3 different dates. So if you could just go to the WBEC event calendar, you can pick whichever one works best for you. And usually they also send the recording out after. So encourage you to register for that as well. Okay, so a little bit of highlights. This is just an example of last year's workshops, the Wednesday morning, the industry sessions. Again, we don't have the titles yet for this year and the exact sessions, but just giving you an idea of what Wednesday morning will probably look like. Then we get into the meet and greets. This is the biggest question that I get every year. What the heck is a meet and greet? And it gives me such heartburn when it is 5 minutes before the meet and greets start at national conference, and I see a WBE that comes up to me and says, "What's going on here? What is a meet and greet?" And I'm like, "You have paid probably like $1,000 to fly out here and stay in a hotel and come to this conference. The meet and greet is like the number one thing you should be preparing for." So here's what it is. It's basically like a speed dating style of networking, where the corporate representatives who are there are at a table, and you as the WBE get to pick who you want to sit down with. So you will generally, it's not one-on-one, it's small groups. So usually 4 to 6 other WBEs. You have 25 minutes. You'll pitch your business for about, 2 to 3 minutes. So prepare a really solid pitch. Chris and Kate are going to give you a lot more of their tips and how they handle the meet and greets. You're going to go around the table, and the corporate's going to answer questions. It's your chance to get that face-to-face conversation and take that pressure off. Like, no one wants to pitch to someone else at like the lunch line, right? They are expecting that you are going to pitch to them. Then after 25 minutes, you're going to hear a bell or an announcement. You get up and you go find another table. So these are really, really, this is the best of the best in terms of networking. There's one big session. Last year, they split it out into 2 smaller sessions in 2 different days. This year, it is one big, long 3-hour block from 2:30 to 5:30, which means there's probably going to be 6 rounds. Now, here are my biggest tips for you. 1, make sure that your certificate is active and renewed. If you are expiring like this month, get your renewal in now. We want to make sure that you are renewed, because if you are not currently active in your certificate, you will not be let into that room. And I have seen tears of people who are like, "But I thought I would be certified by now." Please, now you have 30 days. Now is the time. Get there early, especially for the first round. People have like their number one pick. People will run once those doors open. They will run to those tables. People will line up 30 minutes early at least to get in. Get there. Just get there early. It doesn't start till 2:30. Get lunch. Go line up early for those doors to at least get your number one. There are expected to be about 200 corporations participating, and you have 6 rounds. 6. That's it. So I want you to pick your kind of top 3 must-haves, right? And then some flexible backups. Keep in mind, these ballrooms are going to be enormous. There are 200 tables in these ballrooms. So please print out the floor plan. Now, I will say they have not yet announced the floor plan or which corporations are participating. However, they have announced the expo floor plan, and you can expect the vast majority of the corporates that are going to the expo to also be participating in the meet and greets. So take a look at that expo floor plan. And when they do announce the meet and greet ballroom floor plan, please print it out and have, highlight where your people are sitting that you want to hit. Do your research ahead of time. Do not just sit down at a random person's table. The worst thing, and this is something that our corporates are going to say later, do not say, "How can I help you?" Say, "Here's how I can help you. I did my research." And lastly, do not ignore the other WBs at the table. They could potentially be your clients too, right? It's a huge opportunity. Okay, moving right along. The expo is your next best thing. And again, you'll hear from Kristen and Kate how they have a game plan when they go in. This is your chance to network with the corporations that you don't expect to see at the meet and greets. Again, there's 200 participating and only about 6 rounds. Say hi in advance to the meet and greet people that you want to hit. Multiple touch points. Explore. It is such a useful opportunity here, and the expo is enormous. It is Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, and the meet and greets are Thursday afternoon. So it's all kind of in that like day and a half block. The expo map has been announced. You can go to WBEC-2024.map your show. Again, it is enormous. They color code it by industry, so you can really help, organize yourself. Keep in mind, this is not the app, right? This map your show, this is not the app. Kristen and Kate are going to talk about the app. But the expo is up there, so you can start planning your schedule now. Thank you to whoever plunked that into the chat for us. But they do organize it in some, industry fashion, which is nice. All right, so we are doing more meet and greets. This is my shameless plug for the other events that is coming up the week before National Conference. Our Women's History Month luncheon here in WBEC-East. It will be in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, at Parks Casino. And we are expecting at least a dozen, potentially up to 20 different corporations from our local tri-state area. It is the same format for those meet and greets. You're going to be able to sit down, actually have that conversation. Meet and greets are very popular. So, consider registering for it because tickets will sell out. All right. So that is my lay of the land for you guys, my highlights, the things that I do not want you to miss. Now, it's very different when you hear it from me versus hearing it from your peers, from other WBEs that are there. So at this point, I am very thrilled to hand it over to Kate Keeman, who is actually our 2024 star, which is the biggest honor, honestly, you can get. Each of the 14 regions announces one of their star every year. And her corporate relations manager, Kristen Riley. Kate and Kristen are like the social conference butterflies. You will see them, like you have probably seen them at other conferences, and they are graciously here to share their tips and help you become the social butterfly you have inside of you. So at this point, I am going to hand it over to you guys. Just let me know when you want me to advance the slides and take it away.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. And for everyone that is attending, give yourself a big round of applause for making this commitment, because it is such a wonderful, wonderful time. And the experience is just absolutely amazing. And here we are. This was our last year's picture. We do brand ourselves, and we'll talk about why we do that. We're known as the Rosie Girls, which has nothing to do with telecom and technology, but that's what we're going to talk about today. It's making yourself stick out, right? So here we were, and we're navigated you'll see this huge WBEC sign. Every year they make this, and everyone wants to get a picture in front of it. So we can advance from there on. As we know, it's National Conference. Yep, and a little bit of information. We saw this before, but it is the largest women's conference in the whole United States. That's really, really, really cool. So this is a great opportunity. If we can go to the next one. And I'm going to turn it off over to Kristen because she's really good at the app.
Hi, again, thank you guys so much for having us here. It is truly like earth-shattering, this event. And I want to just remind you, if this is the first time you're going, Kate and I and Prelude have been going for several years now. Every year we amp it up, right? So what we're telling you is how we navigate it now. And so you take what you want, right? So Colleen alluded to the fact that you are going to get an app for your phone, and definitely download it. You'll have access to all the other people who are attending. And you can keep your schedule, you can look at the calendar. It's really a great resource. Right now, you're already attending one of the pre-conference webinars, and the other one that Colleen alluded to, that's for the national, for WBEC National Conference orientation. That's phenomenal, and take copious notes because everything that they say is very important. The industry labs, or the part that is education, even if you're just going to get an education, which is reason enough to go, they are wonderful, and you can just pick and choose what is the best one for you.
That's
And
what
you
we
can
did our
all,
first
and
year. That's what we did our first year. We took a
Yep.
whole track and we picked something and we got something, we learned something new from everyone.
Absolutely. And all of that time is also networking. Who are you sitting next to? Who are you in line behind or in front of in the Starbucks line? Everything is an opportunity. And George and Lawrence will tell you when not to disturb a corporate. So I'll let them handle that part. Updating your profile in the WBEC Link 2.0 is also key. Your latest keywords, your capability statement, which Cass is going to talk to you about as well. And the RPO gathering, phenomenal. I mean, this RPO we said is the best, and everybody says it's the best. But I got to tell you, over COVID, I attended a lot of different RPO events virtually, and we really are the best. So come meet everybody. And especially if you are, really more, your company is more for a B2B, your fellow Weebies, who else would you rather work with, right? So you can go ahead, Colleen. Okay, the schedule, again, Colleen has sent this out, or it's on the website. You've seen this. One thing that we do is we take this and then we also specialize it for ourselves, so that if we aren't necessarily app people and we want to just have a piece of paper in front of us, we include notes, who's to be where, when, what are we wearing. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about what we wear. So, however you want to organize yourself, whatever works best for you. Some people will be walking around with maps. Some people will have it on their phone. Do what makes you most comfortable and most organized. Go ahead, Kate.
Okay, next. Targeting companies. So Colleen talked about this, but what you really want to do is take a look at the targeted companies that are going to be there. Look at the speakers, the sponsors, the chairs, the exhibitors, and say, okay, here, if I want to target X amount of people, let's, times that by 3, because you may only get to really talk to one of those 3 targets, right? So that's why you always want to have a multiple amount of information on every one of the targets. You want to register your company prior. So if you know that you want to get to at least 30 companies, for example, you want to register in the portal ahead of time for all of those 30 companies, because a lot of the organizations will ask you that when you walk right up to their booth. Are you in our portal? It's very important. Or at the meet and greets, have you registered in our portal? And when you could say, yes, we're in there, then you're moving right along, right? And you have your capability statement updated in there. Track for the future use all the exhibitors that won't let you speak with you, right? If you are not in there. So just track the ones that you may not be registered in, so that you can say, I'm going to register when I get back to the offices the next week, and I'll make sure I get registered in the portal. So it's important. I had a great conversation with Target, but I wasn't in their portal. They said, make sure you register. So make sure you're keeping a track of the ones that you have registered and the ones that you haven't. And use your LinkedIn messaging to target companies ahead of time. So you got your 30 companies. I'm using 30 as a good number just because. You have your 30 companies. If you can, find out the supplier diversity manager for those 30 companies, the procurement manager, whoever you sell to, might be IT, might be HR. Go ahead ahead of time and link in with them and tell them you're going to be at the conference. If you have their email them, let them know, hey, I'm going to be at the conference. Can we get a meeting? So those are some of the things that you can do all ahead of time, starting today. Make your list, start linking in with them, talking to them, and ask them who else from their company may be in attendance. You've got, Maureen Smith. Well, Maureen Smith says, I'm not attending. Well, who else might be coming? Oh, Jacqueline Anne may be coming. Okay, great. So that's what you want to do. You want to start circling the wagons, circle of excellence, right, of your target company, and start finding out the right persons within that organization. And then reach out. That's what you're here to do. They know that this conference is the time that you get to meet them live. the homework that you do ahead and the homework that you do behind is the most important part. The moment with the meeting is wonderful too, but you are going to set yourself apart when you do that, the history and the knowledge you have ahead of time and the research that you do. If they've had a merger, an acquisition, if there's a C-suite hire, find that all out on LinkedIn. It's out there. Everyone knows this information. So do your homework. Next. And here, this is already on the website, but here are some of the chairs and sponsors. And when you see these people, you want to say, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this for the national conference. We wouldn't be here without you. So it's really important to know who the conference co-chairs are and who's there to support us as a whole as WBEC. And you can go, Kristen.
All right. So this is how we prepare. Okay. I live and breathe in these spreadsheets from about November until March.
That's not true. You do it the day after.
Well, that is true. Yeah. We keep it all from the year before. So for us, at Prelude, we're taking 6 people with us. You may be going by yourself. You may be going with one other colleague. I'm just letting you know what we do for our company. Okay. So
started off with 2 of us.
Yeah, it was just the Kate and Kristen show for a while, but luckily we have an entourage now. So if you look at the picture there, the meet and greet assignments. So we look at we have our target list. It's a couple hundred companies large, and we whittle it down. We look at who's going to be at the expo, who's going to be at the meet and greets. So if there's somebody who is going to have a booth and they're also going to be doing a meet and greet, then we know we can meet them either time. Obviously, ideally, it's going to be for the meet and greet. If it comes out and we see that there is a company that is exhibiting, but they're not going to be at the meet and greets, well, then make sure you focus on getting to their booth. And then there are those that come in just for the meet and greets. So take your lists of the expo directory when it comes out, the meet and greets, and Colleen and I went back and forth a little bit yesterday. They're not out yet, probably won't be out until the week before. So cross-reference this, all right? And then again, for our purposes, when we have 6 people going, who's going to go to what booth? We typically say, okay, we have Susan up here. She loves retail. So she's in that category, right? She's in the industry and she'll hit all of those targets. And we try to pre-schedule meetings with corporates to meet with them beforehand, because if we can get that half hour before, and then, Denver is really more of like a follow-up on that, then that's great. If not, when you're there, try to see if you can get the follow-up meeting afterwards, right? Have your pitch ready. We've talked about that. And if you don't have a booth, this is the second year that Prelude has had a booth, but prior to that, we did not. So Kate and Kristen show, and Colleen will tell you, and Liz, we walked around with bags, that we were going to give to the different booth people at the booth with, our capability statements, some doodads, all of those. And we would walk around and meet with each one of them. Okay. So, you do what's best for you. Wear comfortable shoes. We have our shoes that say women owned and Prelude on them. So, people walking around in sneakers, totally normal.
And I'll add a few tips here is, so if you do have a walking booth, this was something that was given to us last year. You can carry all of your stuff in this little handy duty thing. I don't know if you find out where Walmart or whoever had these, they gave them out free right when you walked into the conference. Put it on your shoulder and you could walk with your items that way. Yep. Also, when you do have your meet and greet, we do something special. I will give you this tip. We go with a pitch deck so that we can follow along and give them the information. Listen, here's what we think we can do for you, right? Yep, there it is. Yep, there it is. There's the pitch deck. It's hard to see on these things, but we'll go through. But again, it's most important to understand what can we do for them? How do we solve their problem? And then you go into about us and you think about every time you're doing your pitch. And I know that you had this many mergers and acquisitions and we handle this in that area. So a lot of that will be there. And then we also, I think we have this with the booth assignments too. We make our own booth cards. And every year we say, okay, let's say you have 30 or 100, it's good to be able to say, this is the company, this is what industry they're in, this is their booth. Are you in the portal already? Who did you talk to? And some notes on the company. And that's really important too, because it shows that you've done your homework.
I think that, Colleen, if you go to the next slide,
Yeah.
there it is. Okay. So like Kate said, so we, we have our spreadsheets, but what do we bring with us? So literally it is exactly what Kate showed you. It's on a big ring, and each 3x5, whatever size cards these are, it has the name of the company, what pavilion they're in, what booth they're in, are we in their portal, where are they located? Because like I said, I live and breathe this from the day after the conference till the next conference, but not everybody in the company is doing that. So, I arm them with who have we met with, what are some notes that we have about the company, and some, specific case studies that we can say as we're, you only got maybe like a minute and a half when you go to the booth. These are, as it says, these are our cheat sheet cards. And it works for us. It might work differently for you. This is what works for our company. And I'm sorry, one more thing. And whenever we go to the booth with these, we just write our notes on the back of the conversation or at the meet and greet. And I got to tell you, the number of people who I'm talking to at the booth are like, where'd you get those? Did they hand those out? Did they give those to you? I'm like, no, we made them.
Yeah.
And so you might see others with those now too, because it's become sort of a
people were taking pictures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Become a cheat sheet. And that shows them how prepared we are.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead, Colleen.
Yeah, I know we want to be mindful of your time.
Yes.
Here. Yep. This shows you, we do a little booth card. If you are having a booth, we walk around and tell people where we're going to be and what goodies you can get. So again, we're telecom and technology based, but we have a Rosie the Riveter theme that we go to nationals with and we're known as. So we give out a little Rosie the Riveter hot sauce and some fun bags. And so we have all of that and we get to talk to people. So do some outreach ahead of time. If you have a booth, tell people you're going to the conference, who's going to be going. That's another thing that you do on social media. Next, what your booth is, 2435. And at the conference, you can go, Kristen.
Okay, I love this. All right. So when I'm at the conference and I'm talking to somebody, I always ask them like, hey, can we get a picture? And if you see Kate, she's getting her picture with everybody. She's like the best at selfies. So, take permission, or ask for permission. Can I get your picture? And then when when you're sending your follow-up, include the picture in the follow-up, because they're meeting, 4,800 different people. They see the picture of the two of you together and they go, oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. So it's a phenomenal way to highlight yourself when you're doing a follow-up. Make the ask for what you want. I want the opportunity to present to this person. If you've done your homework, you maybe already know the name of the person that you want to speak with. With your capability statement. And again, like I said, Larry and George are going to talk to you about their preference on these capability statements. But, bring a hard copy, but also, make sure that you follow up with a link or a QR code, because they'll say, you know what, I either want that piece of paper or I'm going to throw that piece of paper out. Don't bother. So be prepared for what is the best for them. So if you look at some of these pictures down here too, like I sent this picture of myself to UPS, in my follow-up. We send a picture of all of us in front of the WBEC sign when we do the follow-up. So it's just it's a great trick.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Make yourself memorable. And we started this right from the beginning.
We did.
And as I said, we're taking the Rosie the Riveter. We're taking to be very diverse. We're taking every nationality, and now we've been able to brand it and put it on a number of items. So please come to our booth, get some of these items. We're going to be giving out pins. So we pin people also while we're there. We do that because when I see somebody's already wearing one of the we can do it pins from Prelude Solutions, I'll know that a colleague has already talked to that person. So I don't really have to go up and pin them, right? Someone's already made a memorable impression upon them. One of my colleagues has. So that's a little trick. So we kind of look for the pins and who has a pin and who doesn't, and who doesn't have a pin, we go pin them, right? We also at our booth get a picture with Rosie. So you put your head through the little Rosie hat there, come in, put your arm through, get your picture through Rosie. And that's another way of interacting. And they want to take a picture and then they send it, along to everybody else. We have these bags that we give out every year. It's a new design every year. This is our design for this year. Believe, amplify, and achieve. We also make our own shoes. By the way, these are shoes from like Walmart, okay? And luckily, one of our colleagues has a Cricut machine, and we put Women Don't Prelude Solutions logo on it, and we walk around in comfort all day long. We've got pens, and we make our own hot sauce. Again, nothing to do with technology, but I get how memorable is that, right? And this is our 5th year going. Of course, we had to skip because of COVID, but we just started off branding ourselves, and now here we are as such. And there is a gentleman that joins us too. He's the thorn between the roses.
I want to add in there too that all of the marketing, everything that we do buy it from a women-owned company. We have our printing. Our booth came from a certified women-owned business. So even though we did that with the shoes, everything else, we want to support our fellow Weebies.
That's
do business with them.
Good, very good point. We have 33% in minority spend this past year, so we track it too. Next.
And
yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So again, we've been doing this for a long time, but in the years that we have been participating in nationals and all the other events going into that, the doing business with the Women's History Month, we have been able to work, fortunately, with 4 Fortune 1000 WBEC corporate.
Soon to be 5, and you may have seen their card today.
Soon to be 5. And these were literally from connections that Kate and I made 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
So keep that in mind while you're there.
It does. It takes 10 to 15 touch points. There's no way around it. There's no magic sauce. There's nothing you can do. You just keep on driving forward, stick with it, and you will, and it will happen for you. And we've been able to we're very close on many others too. And we've been certified for 6 years.
But don't forget your fellow Weebies right there. That's all. Those are all fellow Weebies that we also have been able to help with their telecom.
And this is you, Kristen, because you do all the after conference.
You got it. So follow up as much. I mean, I don't know which is most important, going into it or following up. But that list that you started to make, those 30 targets, and then you're listing and you're saying, okay, I'm in the portal, and then you take notes and then you add those notes to what you're going to follow up with. Use that for going into the following year to nationals, but also just keep it all in one place, whether you have a CRM, whether you've got a notebook, whether you've got a spreadsheet, because that's the best way to make the conference really worth it. I mean, what's the point in going if you're not going to follow up?
Yeah.
And put that picture in there or something to make yourself memorable. It was at my first WBEC orientation that I met George. And George said, put on a baseball hat. And I said, well, why don't we just wear Rosie the Riveter t-shirts? It works. It works. So take these tips and tricks, these little nuggets, tweak it for what's best for you, and have a ball.
All right, let's see what else we got here. We've got a couple more items. We're wrapping up. So Prelude amplified preparations for nationals by producing a fun promotional video short. So please tune in to Prelude Social Media Weekly, starting February 19th for snippets. We're hopeful to premiere the 7-minute video at Nationals. We'll see. It's a hope. But it was a women-owned executive producer, Prelude, a women-owned production company, Iron Works, and a women-owned location that we did one of the shoots at, Lucky Tree Cafe in Raleigh. We are from Philadelphia, but we flew down to Raleigh for one of our colleagues who helped to write all of the shorts, and it's called The Big Day. And it's really going to be a fun way to highlight WBEC and Nationals. And with that, I will wrap it up. We can do it, everybody. Let's go. Believe, amplify, and achieve.
Thank you so much, Kristen and Kate. This has been fantastic to hear how your brain works. I think for the other WBs here to see, how people have successfully used the conference in the past. I really encourage all of you guys to think about how you can make your own plan in advance. You have a month ahead, and really lean into your unique star factor and come with a plan. That's just the biggest thing you can do for yourself, is come with a plan. All right, so we are moving right along to our next portion. Cassandra Bailey, who has presented a few different years for us on this topic, is the CEO of Slice Communications, and she is going to be talking about the capability statement, which is your resume on site. It is a document that a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about. So I am gonna hand it over to you. I know you have some examples that you want to show. So I believe you should have like screen sharing. Whenever you're ready for me to stop sharing my screen, you just let me know and you will take it away.
Thank you. So I want to start with a little context in terms of the capability statement. And Kristen and Kate did such a good job talking about all the different marketing materials that you can have and that you can bring to conference. And there really are a lot of things, but a lot of times the core one, the one that a lot of the corporate partners will ask for, is this capability statement. So what is it, and what is the purpose of the capability statement? It is a couple of things. First, it is a summary of who you are and what you do, right? It should very clearly articulate those things. And if it communicates your differentiator, the thing that makes you different from every other marketing or HR or promotional products or IT company that they meet with on any given day, it's going to be most effective, because making that differentiator clear and specific and obvious and big will help remind people of that. So yes, it is your resume. It is the summary of who you are and what you do. Absolutely. But what I like to challenge people to do as they think about their capability statement is think about it more than just that. How do you make it useful? So we worked with some people in the past where instead of it just being, a one pager and on one side have a little bit about their company, on the back, there was actually an interactive part where they would use it and give it to the corporate partner that they were talking to, or even the other WBE that they were talking to, and enable the WBE to take notes, or the corporate partner take notes in a meaningful way on the back. So to use it as something that is actually interactive. So for instance, on the back of one of them, we put something like, the thing that I most remember about this WBE is, and they could write that down. Or the one way that this WBE told me that they could help me was this, and they wrote that down. Or the people within my company they really want to meet are these people, and they could write that down, right? So it becomes this useful tool more so than just a one-way kind of this is who we are and what we do. Something else to think about beyond how people can use it, the other folks can use it, is also to think about the form in which it shows up. So yes, it can be a one-page piece of paper, absolutely. Or it can be a really thick piece of paper that as your corporate partners are going through their items from the day before or the day of, they feel yours differently. There are new ways to add texture into paper. The example that Kristen and Kate showed earlier about the ring that they use with all the different cards that they use to prepare, you could actually create a capability statement that was like that, where it had your 5 or 6 different services on cards with a ring. That would be very memorable, and it would be hard for a corporate partner to throw that out, because it was something that would have more weight and more substance to it. So yes, think about like, how can you make it useful, not just a here's who we are, and think about how can you make it texturally or physically or in terms of shape different so that it sticks out that way. Now I'm going to share with you a couple of tools that we use and that we recommend others use to make their capability statements really cool and really different and certainly professional. We've seen a lot of not great capability statements over the years, but there's no excuse for anybody to have one that doesn't look great and professional today because of some of these tools I'm going to share with you that I'm going to share with you. The first one is called Canva. If you've used Canva before, great, awesome. It is a tool that's designed for non-designers to use. Yeah, you can sign up and get an account, but there's also a free option here. And in the free option, it gives you a lot of different templates. So if you can see here, the templates, it can have templates for one-pagers, for promotional flyers. It has, if you go here into marketing, it'll show you a lot of different flyers, posters, brochures, newsletters, infographics. What you want to do is you want to find one here. And right now they have a whole lot of Valentine's Day and International Women's Day ones, but you want to find something that really looks like your brand and that looks as much like your website as humanly possible. That'll start to create a connection between the capability statement that somebody has there in front of them and when they go back to your website or if they check you out on LinkedIn, what that brand is. So if you are struggling with like, how do I design something that looks really different, that looks really special, that really stands out, this is a great tool that we love to use. And you can see there's all sorts of different things, right? Like you can do this 6 ways that our company is different than others. That's a great and the template's right there. Isn't that great and easy to use? You could create something that looks like this, where you put 3 pictures of this one right here, where you put 3 pictures in here and you use another picture and you really just put a very little bit of text that talks about what you are and how your company works. They have all different colors here. You can actually search and filter by colors. If you have a particular color you like, you can search and filter by different features. But if you're struggling with making a really professional looking capability statement, this is the tool for you. Start here. Canva also now will give you the ability to print directly from Canva, which I used recently for my daughter's birthday. So once you've designed it, you can actually order your prints through it. And then you can select, do you want glossy paper to make it stand out? Do you want matte paper? And how heavy do you want that paper to be? Do you want it to be like a thick card stock? And you can do it all right through Canva. Now, if you know a woman-owned printing firm, use them instead, but this is a good way to do it very efficiently and in a way that's really productive and a good use of your time. The other thing that's great about this is that it also gives it to you as a high-resolution PDF, which is something that you will need to send the email afterwards. So you'll get a really great, easy-to-use PDF. And Canva can also export your brochure or your one-page or your capability statement as an image file that you can use on your website. So if you decide that you want to have this also on your website, which again is something we recommend, and you might do something like slicecommunications.com/WBEC-2024, and you would have the capability statement right there on the website as well. That's another thing that you can send out afterwards. So my point here is not just to use a tool like Canva to make sure that your capability statement is professionally designed, but then also use all of the different export features, the PDF to email after the fact, the built-in printing to get it done and get it done quickly and easily, and then also the image export to create a landing page on your website. So not only are you creating this capability statement, but you're going to be able to use it in all these different ways. So this is a very efficient tool to do that. The next tools that I want to recommend, and we didn't talk about these last year, are using some new AI tools in order to make sure that your writing and your headlines are really compelling. We don't want to use Jasper or ChatGPT in order to create new text. What we want to use it to do is to make our current copy better. So one of the things that's great about Jasper, if you haven't used it before and you can get a demo, you can try it out for 30 days, is that it has great little user experience features like make this copy into marketing copy, or punch it up, or explain what I do to a 5th grader. All of those prompts, those AI prompts, are already built into Jasper. And so it helps you basically have a marketing copywriter without having to hire and pay a marketing copywriter, which I say with a great deal of humility because I employ a number of marketing copywriters who are awesome and fantastic. Using Jasper or ChatGPT can be something that helps punch up and create better headlines, even without hiring a person. So we use this all the time, ChatGPT in particular. We will put in a headline and we will say, give me 6 different versions of this headline. Give me a version of this headline that speaks to a corporate buyer. Make sure that this headline has no jargon in it. Make this headline different than my 2 primary competitors who are this company and this company. And so ChatGPT gives you the ability to look at and create a whole lot of different copy options for your capability statement, a whole lot of different headlines for your capability statement. And then you can pick the one that's best and use the Canva templates in order to make sure that it looks beautiful. The last tool I want to share with you for this, for capability statement, is another AI tool, but this one is actually an AI image generator and an AI image editor. We recommend this tool, especially for companies that do something that isn't reflected in most stock photography and don't necessarily have the time or money to go out and do original stock photography. This one will also give you a series of free images. I think it gives you 5 or 6 free images before you have to pay for it. But even paying for it, it's not very expensive. And so if you do something where you're like, okay, well, I am a woman-owned, minority-owned construction management company that works primarily in the water industry, you can actually put that in here to Pixlr and say, give me an image of a minority-owned, woman-owned construction worker at a water company in Philadelphia, and it will generate that image for you. Now, what's great about that is that those images ideally should be really communicative. They should communicate who you are, what you do, but also what makes you different. Another thing to consider using a tool like Pixlr is actually to customize images of you and yourself with the 5 or 6 or 30 companies that you really want to target. So think about this. Let's say you really, really want to work with the store brand Target. You could take a photo of yourself against a white wall, or you and your team against a white wall, and you can actually use a tool like Pixlr to put in some images as it relates to Target. And then you can use that same picture and do it for UPS or for FedEx or for Bristol Myers Squibb or for any company that's there. And then you can take those customized AI images and make a different one in each of your Canva template capability statements that you're creating. So when you go to a meet and greet for UPS, you have a customized capability statement just for them that has UPS branding and logos with you and your team right there in that image, or with a UPS truck right there with you and your team in that image that is specific and concise and meant just for them. And so this is a great tool to use. Pixlr is a fantastic tool to use to customize, create wonderful images that are compelling and meaningful that you can use in your capability statement. Once you do it on Canva, you can download them as PDFs. And like Kate and Kristen were talking about, send that customized capability statement as a PDF in the follow-up with the picture of you and them at their booth or at the meet and greet. And you suddenly will create something that is very different than what they're seeing from anybody else, which is what we want to achieve here. That's my 10 minutes.
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant, you've now given us more work, but that is a brilliant idea. I love
Happy to share it. Yeah. Okay, back to you, Colleen.
Thank you, Cass. Wow, this was so informative. If anyone has questions, we are actually doing like perfectly on time, perfectly on the dot. So if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in. We will have some time at the end as well. But at this point, let me just pull up my screen again. I'm going to share my, there we go. All right, at this point, we are going to move along right into the last portion of this presentation, which is the corporate perspective. And Dina is actually graciously filling in today for Larry. So on the call with us, we have Dina Cooper-Williams, who is the Senior Supplier Diversity Lead of American Water. And we have George Ergat, who is a member of the WBEC-East Board of Directors, as well as a retired and very experienced supplier diversity executive, both of whom have been on the other side of the coin for many years and know a lot about what you guys are going through, and are here to share their real raw thoughts. So we are gonna have a panel discussion for the next 20 minutes. Dina and George, I encourage both of you to keep it real with us, and also understanding that the two of you may have differing opinions on things, because there's no one size fits all. And I think that's one of the benefits that the WBs here would get from this, is that, you know, different corporates think differently. So that being said, I'm going to spotlight you guys. I would love for both of you to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your experience, you know, at different conferences in the supplier diversity world. So George, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm on a headset here. Apologize for the Zoom. My name is backwards, but I'm sure you're all bright enough to figure that out.
It doesn't
you
appear
look great.
backwards.
You look
No,
great
it
on
doesn't.
that.
It only appears backwards to you.
It's backwards to me.
Yeah, Colleen, it looks great, doesn't it?
Well, I'm a retired strategic sourcing and supplier diversity manager from a global high-tech company from this area, headquartered in this area. I was very involved in WBEC-East, the NMSDC, EMSDC, as well as the high-tech industry group. I've been on various boards, committees, and held leadership positions in all the above. So my experience is from beginning to end, beginner to expert, I hope. Presently, I'm on the WBEC-East Board of Directors and also still on a couple of committees. Dina?
Hello, everyone. So as was mentioned, I'm Dina Cooper-Williams. I'm the Senior Supplier Diversity Program Lead with American Water, our National Supplier Diversity Program, and we are a national water utility. We're actually the largest publicly traded water and wastewater utility in the U.S. And so we do have a national footprint beyond the Delaware Valley. And I highlight that because as we get into discussion and you start to research companies, I think a lot of, being connected to WBEC-East, you may think that the companies that you should talk to are only in the New Jersey, Philadelphia footprint, Delaware footprint, but a lot of us are national companies with national and regional memberships, corporate partnerships to some of the affiliates. So I'm gonna stop there because I know there's a bunch of questions because I can just keep rambling.
This is great. All right, well, we'll keep going with you, Dina. So what are your expectations when a WB comes up to you to pitch at a conference? What are you looking for? What's going through your brain?
Oh, great question. A lot of things going through my brain, but one thing I want to say is that the information that Cassandra, Kate, and Kristen gave, please listen to them. Take notes, and whatever production you need to get going right now, that's the type of information that's really helpful to corporations, because we are meeting so many suppliers at these conferences, and you really want to do things to make yourself stand out. There was some talk about the meet and greet. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about or at least start with some of the don'ts for the meet and greet. These are excellent opportunities. Everything that was said is so true. You are going to need to be in place like 30 minutes in advance. And it is like a game of musical chairs once they say, okay, meet and greets are now open. But one of the things you don't want to do there is start your pitch before it actually starts. Allow other suppliers to sit down at the table, and it may seem like a competitive advantage to start your pitch with the company, but it's really an unfair advantage to everyone. And it causes us to have to say the same things repeatedly. And again, there's like 6 rounds. So we already have to do it multiple times. So help us out there. One of the other things to be mindful for at meet and greets is that there are only, I believe, 10 seats. And so if you have more than one company representative, I would ask you to please only sit one person. And then if all the seats are not filled, then have that person sit in, because you take away a seat from another WBE, and it is unfair. I had a couple other things I jotted down for specifically for meet and greets. Be really realistic about what your capabilities are. And be mindful of the time. It's a pitch. You only have a limited amount of time. Be mindful of everybody else that has to pitch. There are all kinds of techniques and tools given to you about how to follow up. So make sure you do that, but don't think that this is the only, or this could be the only interaction, depending on your behavior at the meet and greet, because it is a first. Most times it's the first interaction. Sometimes you do see suppliers that you've met in the past or that are even currently working with. It's nice when people come in and say hello if you're already working with them. And then, but really looking for people that understand their business and understand how they can help American Water. It is a disservice to you if you don't understand the companies that you're approaching, because they're not going to have time to take you through every single thing, every product and service that they're purchasing, and give you a total footprint of their company, a layout in a meet and greet. There's not enough time. So please take heed to the tips that have been provided. I'm sure George wants to add to that, so I'll pass the mic.
You've already taken care of quite a few of the bullet points I had, so thank you very much. But I'd like to reemphasize one, is that be polite. I mean, don't take up someone else's seat when you've got 2 or 3 people in your group. The other thing is, don't horn in on someone else's time. Everybody needs a chance. And at that table, I'm sure there's the corporate person sitting there with their cell phone or their watch going, all right, that's 4 minutes now, leave. That sort of thing. We try to be polite and be respectful, but you need to do the same to us. And just to also reemphasize, be succinct. Tell me what you do best. I don't want to hear your entire capability statement. And we'll get into that later. And also make sure you know who you're sitting down with. You may not have seen my company all that often. When I was in the business world, ours wasn't the big flashy name spending $1 billion on Super Bowl Sunday, but we're the ones that work for them. Always know who the company is, and try to do some research as to that industry and what does that company do? Who do they work for? Know my customers. Remember also that not all corporations have the same structure. Supplier diversity, procurement, marketing, that all sometimes has a different lead when you go to these conferences. So try to understand who you're sitting down with and what's going to be important to that individual. Try to be prepared with maybe not a potential solution, but try to direct it to an area where you can improve my business. Remember, you only got, just a few minutes here, but try to make it interesting enough that I'm going to want to talk to you after this for a half an hour, maybe. Okay, so that's what your goal is, to try to whet my interest, whet my appetite. And again, don't ignore the WBEs at the table. They have great business opportunities for you too. I mean, you'll take a look at some of those. A sponsor, M. Davis, that's a WBE from our RPO, man. So you want that business as much as you want the corporate business. That's a corporation after all. So know your time and place, be patient, be polite.
Thank you
Next.
both. So what are some, you started talking a little bit about, the things you're looking for, the green flags and stuff. What are some other green flags or red flags that like WBs may not realize, might not even think about, like when you're looking at someone as a potential supplier? George, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, never tell me what you need. Never tell me you can do whatever I need. Things like that. It's like, get out of my space. Oh, we're supposed to be real here, so get out of my face. Get out of here. Now, if it's a planned meeting, be prepared. You want to be able to sit down and explain your business in such a way that it makes sense to me in my business. Okay, so that's a green flag where you can actually sit down, you know who I am, you know who my company is, and know who my customers are, what my industry is. Those are green flags. I love that. Dina, you got a few too, I'm sure.
I would say really be excited also.
Mm-hmm.
Your enthusiasm can be contagious. So if it's presented in the right format, if you're enthusiastic about your company and what your capabilities are, you kind of hook us with that. I want to go back to just a red flag and just the politeness. And I don't think it can be overstressed, because you get people that will interrupt you while you're in conversations, interrupt other weebies while they're pitching. And it's definitely a red flag. And we will kind of put you in the back of our mind or out of our mind if the politeness isn't there.
Oh, I'm gonna interrupt you on that one. I will not forget you, because if you get distracted and lose interest in our discussion because all of a sudden you realize my company is not who you really want. Well, my friends, we talk amongst ourselves. Your name will go into that little red book with all the red flags. So be very polite. Make sure you're aware.
That's a great point. I know among, the corporate representatives that I'm friendly with, I can think of more than a handful that have been with multiple corporations and have moved. So even if, someone you're talking to now doesn't have an opportunity for you at their current company, maybe in 2 years, if they get a new job, don't burn that bridge. Awesome. All right, getting into a fun one. What are our thoughts on capability statements? Do we like them? Do we, how are we seeing them evolve in the new world that Cass was talking about? I know people have different opinions. So Dina, I'll let you start.
Sure. And I will maybe a dinosaur in this area, because I love capability statements. It's to me, it's like going, if you don't go to an interview with a resume, even though we have LinkedIn and all these other forms of communication that people can see your background, you're not really prepared for the task. Now, I think it's important to have multiple forms of that. So some people aren't into paper, and that's okay, because there's all kinds of environmental reasons, cost reasons, but have something prepared. Like if you want me to I don't know, use a QR code or something that's going to link electronically, be prepared. Test it in advance, because I was at an event a few months ago and it would not work. And I felt bad for the person. But I was like, I've given you, I've been here for 20 minutes. I have to move on. So I love capability statements, but to George's point, and almost like a resume, sometimes you have to have more than one. And and I think that's okay. And Cass may have alluded to that, or probably could provide more knowledge, but you really, if you have a targeted list of companies or even industries, you really want your capability statement to be able to speak to that industry or those companies, and not, we shouldn't have to figure it out. So that would be the red flag or the negative part of the capability. If it's so broad, we're trying to figure out how to fit you in. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an IT professional. I'm not so many things, but I am someone that can read and kind of get a quick synopsis of something. But if it's not there, I can't make it up.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Spot on that. And Cass had some great ideas. I really like them. Also, as Dina said, be aware that we may not want to take it with us. So have digital form. Maybe we'll ask you to email it to us. That'd be fine. But I've gone to too many conferences where I end up in my hotel room packing, and I've got a stack yay big of things that I'm not going to take it back to the office with me. So just ask the person you're talking with how they would like to take it. Certainly, you got to have it with you. You got to have something to show. It can point out here's A, B, C, D, do that. That's cool. But recognize that we may not want to take it. And as Dina said, be succinct, be to the point of what you're trying to get across to the person you're having the meeting with.
I love that. I love that idea of having different media types for different preferences, because everyone has a different preference. I know we did this program a couple of years ago, and one of the corporate speakers we had on here said, I hate capability statements. I throw them all away.
That was me.
Give me the QR code. Was that you, George? I'll throw them all away. So yeah, I love that. Having multiple media prepared. Fantastic.
Yeah, just to reemphasize, I do think you need to have it. Just be aware that the corporate individual that you're talking with, or even the WB buyer, may not want to take it with.
Because we have to have room for the swag from Prelude. So we got to save some room in our
That's great. All right. So we talked a bit about meet and greets, but there are a lot of other networking opportunities. I mean, there's the expo, there are receptions every single night. There's the lunch during the day. How does networking differ? Do you have any specific tips, anything that you like, that you don't like for, outside of the meet and greet, the formal, what can we do better there? I'll let you start.
Okay. I think there are a lot of lines at these conferences, and lines are really a great place to kind of break the ice, introduce yourself. But I want to start with the places not to, try to meet. Why someone's eating. Now, lunch is great, but to kind of interrupt while the food is in my mouth and you're trying to get through quickly, that's not a great place. Ladies' room, just use some discretion. Maybe, I don't know if we're walking out the door together, walking in together, but maybe just let me go to the stall. And then again, just to the politeness, why, if someone's talking, if you're in a conversation, please don't interrupt them. But I think the lines are great places, the receptions, and these days are long and you're tired, but maybe not every night, or maybe not all night every night, but don't miss the opportunity to meet with corporations in the evening, because sometimes really you start a really great conversation. It's kind of like the time where your hair might be not but their hair might be let down, and they may be a little more open to what you're saying, and definitely have a little more time. And then of course on the expo floor, even if you don't have a booth, everyone's marked up with name badges and shirts and representations of their company. So, take advantage. Hey, American Water, I've been meaning to talk to you, and but ask them, hey, do you have some time, or schedule some time for later. But I think there are so many opportunities, but definitely be mindful of the time that you probably shouldn't disturb someone.
Right. That's absolutely right. It's time and place. Know the time and place. If you see one of us walking into the restroom, don't you dare get in our way. So if we're walking out, you may say, oh, hi, how you doing? That's fine. Also remember, at these networking events at night, we're relaxing. Just as much as we're trying to do some business, but we're a lot more low key. You can have a quick statement prepared. You got the old elevator pitches. There's elevator pitches and there's networking reception pitches. Okay. So you want to be more relaxed. You want to be more comfortable. A quick statement, about who you are, but keep it short. Now, we may ask you, oh yeah, what does your company do? Where are you guys working? That's fine. Then it starts the dialogue. That's what you want. You want us to start responding with questions. We don't want to hear a 5-minute dissertation about how great your business is. I'm sure it's a great business, but maybe not for us. Second, make a positive impression somehow. Okay, have something that will remember by you later. It's like, I got my hats. So as I think Kate mentioned before, that's what I've been telling people. You go to these conferences, how many business professionals do you see wearing a hat or a ball cap? Very few, but you'll remember me, won't you? And then I know some of my other colleagues, they wear some cool scarves, anything. It doesn't matter what it is, just something that, remember, this is a new hat. I like it. But I'll use this
Really
from now
nice.
on. Yeah. But something that we're going to remember you by. Prelude's got this great idea of how, we're going to remember them because of this. So your company can do anything simple, anything elaborate, whatever. It's something that I'm going to remember them by. So that's a good thing to do. When you're standing in line, whether it's Starbucks or getting in line to get in to eat, you can just chat to introduce yourself. We're not expecting to hear a business proposal or anything about your company. We just want to chat, make a good impression from the start that you're comfortable and I'm comfortable with you. And then, as we sit down at the luncheon table, we're not really going into too much heavy because we're trying to eat, but we can talk a little bit about, oh, what do you do? How's life? Is it easy to get corporate attention in your area? How's that RPO doing? Ours is the best, so we want you to come to ours. But at the same time, be polite. I mean, don't push it too hard, but we want that good impression so that we're going to remember you later on. And you can always ask, listen, can we meet later in the day for 15 minutes outside, whatever the workshop is. Workshops, attend the workshops, sit down next to somebody. Luncheons, if you don't know anybody, sit down next to anybody. That way you're going to meet all sorts of new great people. And these people are wonderful networking opportunities because it may not be the company that you're sitting next to that's going to give you the business opportunity, but the person they talk with later. And then all of a sudden you're going to get an email from somebody. Oh, I was talking with George from X company, and he said, maybe we could chat. That's what you're hoping for. And I think that's a great way to look at these conferences, or whether it's a single day conference or a multi-day conference. Remember that all these corporations are different. Some are going to be less than $1 billion in sales, and some they do $1 billion in sales a day or whatever ridiculous amount. They have different structures. The company I was with, I was more not a gatekeeper as much as I was the one that directed you where you could possibly have an opportunity. And other companies, they're so large, they have groups of people. We mentioned something about the portal, making sure that you sign into the portal. Do that, because if you don't, they will use that to ignore you. If you get in there, it doesn't mean you're going to get business, just means that's one less thing they can mess with you about. And believe me, supplier diversity people will mess with you if you don't respect their needs. So would you, I suppose. I think that's pretty good for now. Anybody? Dina, you got some more?
There's one thing I just want to say. Don't forget about the power of introductions. There's a big network within WBEC-East, and I remember how I was introduced to Kristen when I joined the American Water Supplier Diversity team, and it was an introduction from someone that I knew. But reach out. Like if you see someone talking to someone that or you just want to say to anyone within WBEC, from Liz to any of the Weebies, hey, do you happen to know someone at XYZ company? And if so, would you mind making an introduction? We're always open to those introductions from reliable sources. So don't forget about the power within your own network.
That's a really, really great point, Dina.
Oh, yeah.
That really is. One of the things that I have just always kept in the back of my head is people do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? And you got to develop those three things totally separately. Trust, having that reputation and solid capability statement and everything, right? Get to know them. As Kate said, you got like 15 touch points until someone really knows you. And then, like, as you guys are saying, be polite, be friendly, get to actually know them personally, know, like, and trust. That takes time. So
be
that
polite,
kind of
be polite, be patient, be persistent.
Exactly. Yeah. So that leads me into my next question is follow-up. How soon is too soon? How long is too long? What are your preferences in terms of how they follow up? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. never do it the same week. All right, that's a little too fast, and I've got so much to think about on the trip home, as well as soon as I get back to my office, back to my desk. I'm trying to take care of the crises that happened while I was away. So I need a little time to decompress, but within a week, I need to have it within a week so that I don't forget. Again, you need to have made a positive impression on me. And maybe a week later, all of a sudden I get this email and I'll say, oh yeah, I remember that person. I like the idea of the pictures. I think that's something like that's a brilliant idea. I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, but something to remind me, when did we meet out there? Something about how we chatted, and say, listen, I would like to get in touch again and talk more business. I think that'd be a great way of doing it.
How about you, Dina?
I agree for the most part. When you get back there, you're putting out fires, you're trying to just reset. So I'd say give it a couple weeks, but the reminder is more important to me than even the timing. Like something, and I tell people, remind me of where we met. Like, hey, I was round one, I sat down, I had on a green suit, whatever it is. Like if you're not sending the picture, please remind me and do or say or provide something memorable so that when you do follow up, we know who you are. And if you're given any special instructions, sometimes depending on what it is, the product or service, I might say, listen, we're not looking at that until like Q4. So if I say don't follow up until Q4, please don't follow up until Q4. So just listen to whatever someone's saying, because you don't want to be ignored, and you don't want, again, this is just first impressions most of the time. And so you're going to be, did you follow instructions? So just make sure you're following the instructions of however someone wants to be followed up.
That's really good advice. Yeah. If we say, we don't really have anything going on right now, but check with us in Q4. And then you get back to us in Q4. It's like, oh, wow, they listened. That makes me feel good. So I think that's really good advice.
That's fantastic. So as we're getting towards the end of our half hour here, my last question for you guys, any last tips for turning these good impressions from conference into actual business deals? Because I hear a lot from WBEs, I've been to 1 and 2 meet and greets and nothing's really come out of it. Tips, tough love, motivational love for converting those touch points into business.
So, it takes time. You're building a relationship. It takes time. So I would just say to hang in there. Don't get discouraged if the first couple meetings don't result in anything. It really takes, I'll speak specifically for American Water. It takes years. It really does. Unless you are just the timing. I see somebody that can attest to that. It takes years, but don't get discouraged. Just maintain the relationship. And the relationship to me is like whenever we see each other, if we're at an event, hey, stop and just say hello, and just, a reminder, but it's really building the relationship. Don't grow weary. Just keep your energy and enthusiasm up if you really want to work with that company.
Yeah, you have to be really patient, and remember, there may not be an opportunity for your business. There are a couple of brilliant diverse suppliers that I would have loved to do business with over the years. And it's just that nothing's going to happen in my company. And all I can do is recommend others to them. It's just to make sure that, there's that opening, that opportunity for them to do more business.
George, that's spot on with, like, if there's nothing there, like if there's never going to be anything, you still want to maintain some type of relationship or level of politeness so that we can refer you to someone else.
Yeah, we're not going to string you along. At least we try not to string you along. We'll be honest about it, but we want to try. We really do. And for those that may have opportunities, like Dina said, it could take a couple of years before you get a really true, honest effort for it. I've done my best, or at times, if there's a business that we can use products or supplies, I'll get them to quote on stuff, and I tell them right up front, you're not going to get this opportunity. No, you're not. I'm not even going to send it to procurement. I just need to know that you understand our company and that you are in the right ballpark. That is important. If you think that you're going to be able to provide us pricing and you're way off base, if I gave that to the head of procurement, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy and never take another WBE opportunity for another year. So I make sure that you are being realistic as much as I'm being realistic with you. So, hey, maybe if there's a chance, ask them, listen, can I just sample it out? Let's try it. I did that once with a office supply company and had them go through the RFQ process. And the first response was horrible. I told them that it was horrible. And it wasn't just the pricing, it was just the unprofessional way it was presented. So they had to come back in another year and it looked a lot better. But I mean, you want to give opportunities. We really do. And we'll try to be as honest with you as you are with us. Be patient, be polite, be persistent, and
Great. Go ahead, George.
wear comfortable shoes.
George is the king of comfy shoes.
Yes, if you don't wear comfortable shoes at a conference, I don't care if it's a day or 3 days, you'll be sorry. You'll look in pain. And you know what? I can tell. That tells me you don't know how to prepare. And what kind of business person are you wearing bad shoes? Oh, think of things like that. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. Your expertise and insight is invaluable. And I know we're getting towards the end of the hour here, but I just want to reiterate a couple things, some next steps for you guys, especially those of you who are going to Denver. Please keep an eye out as all the information comes out so you can prepare effectively. The app is likely going to be released pretty soon. The expo floor plan is already there, so you should already be starting to make those cards. Or at least that, game plan, that floor plan of who you're going to hit up and what research you have to do. Please, if you get on site, if you're there Tuesday, please come out to our RPO meetup. It really sets the tone for the whole conference. You get to know the people that are on this call a little bit more. You see friendly faces that you can sit with. See us, the staff will all be there. So please come out and say hi to us and have a nice meeting with us. And prepare for those expos, for those meet and greets. Keep an eye out when those meet and greets, it's announced, they will announce those to the world that list is live. And if you have any questions, as you prepare, we're here. Reach out to one of the staff, reach out to one of your fellow WBEs. We've been through this before, and we love sharing our experiences and our tips, and taking people under our wings. So that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us. Safe travels ahead. We hope to see you at Women's History Month luncheon. We hope to see you in Denver. And thank you to our speakers, George, Dina, Kate, Cass, Kristen. You guys were fantastic. I will send this recording out sometime probably either later this afternoon or tomorrow. But again, thank you so much for joining us and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.